Today, I want to talk to you about a country that many people have written off for good. In many minds, this place is still stuck in the 90s. It's war torn, it's unstable, and it's not even worth a second look. This country is Serbia, but in this video, I'm going to talk to you about why Serbia is better positioned for the future, safer, and why it's much better than many of your Western countries. Here's something that I see over and over and over again in many of these Western countries. Something bad happens there, such as a new tax gets introduced, government overreach, freedoms shrink, and people panic. They start looking at somewhere else and they Google Serbia and they see what happened back in the 90s and they write it off for good. And they end up dealing with what happened with long time ago in the 90s and seeing, oh, this is how it still is. But that's not actually the true facts of what Serbia is. And a lot of people have it as a hard pass. Now, one of the things that I see many people do is that in many of these Western countries, people turn a blind eye to countries such as France and, California in the United States when they see massive protests and insane tax laws passed. Why? Because they have been conditioned to accept Western problems as normal and non-Western countries as dangerous. And this is due to the propaganda of your own governments that, you know, portray your own country, such as France or Germany or United States for that matter, or even Canada for that matter, as safe countries. And if you say otherwise, they're going to show you how it's bad. Now, let me talk about a couple things here where it comes to personal freedoms. Let's talk about Serbia's personal freedoms and the West. And let's first talk about what happened 5 years ago when it came to COVID. Now, Serbia was one of the most open countries in Europe altogether. While nations like Canada and Australia enforced some of the harshest lockdowns in modern history, and I know myself because I firsthand was in Canada during COVID lockdowns, and it was absolutely absurd as to how people bend at the knee and took it as something normal. And then you could see also that you could go out in Serbia, and run your own business, travel and live with less surveillance and fewer mandates. Now, of course, Serbia did have restrictions when it came to entering the EU countries. You needed to get a certain procedure done that many people said, hey, listen, if I have to do that to go into EU country, I'll just remain in Serbia and enjoy my kafanas. I'll go and enjoy coffee. I'll go visit friends. I'll live life normally until those restrictions are reduced. Now, some people did not have that option and they had to do that. And I'm not here to judge if you did or did not, but I'm just saying Serbia on its own was the one of the freest countries in Europe altogether. And even today, Serbia still has no digital ID requirements, where you can see a lot of these other countries are introducing digital ID, digital currencies, and there's no aggressive censorship laws like they do in some of these EU countries. For instance, say in the in the UK, you post something on Facebook, the next day you have the police at your front door and telling you that you have to go to jail. That doesn't happen in Serbia. Now, let's talk about when it comes to taxes, cost of living, economic sanity as well. Serbia has flat rate tax system here. So 10% of income tax is your flat rate tax. You have, and that compares to, other countries where it's like 40 to 50% marginal tax. rates in Germany, UK, Canada, like California. Don't talk about California because California, you're taxed at the yin yang. You've seen a mass migration from California to Texas, where they virtually have no taxes down there. In Serbia, you have a corporate tax of 15%, where for instance, was running a corporation in Canada for many years and had to pay upwards of, 39, 40% just in corporate income tax, because the more you make, the more you have to pay taxes. And many of you understand how that goes if you're in one of these countries. Now, when it comes to real estate, you can buy centrally located apartments in Belgrade and Novi Sad for, 100,000 euros. And that's pretty good when it comes to some of these other countries and such as Lisbon, London, or Paris. You have no chance of doing that. Even in Canada nowadays, where it once was affordable housing, now you can't buy a parking garage for 100,000 euros there. Now, we're not even going to start getting into utilities and groceries, property taxes. Many of the clients that we work with, they ask what are some of the, prices that I pay, for instance, for my cell phone bill or something like that. And they laugh at that when they hear that my bill is like 1,700 dinars here, which is basically $17 US for unlimited everything. And that's dramatically lower just in that sense from Canada, where I know typically you're paying $80 a month there just for a basic plan. And where we you can never find that in the West. You're absolutely getting gouged out there. Now let's talk about sustainability and opportunity. Now you might think that Serbia is unstable, but the truth is, I find a lot more stability here. My wife, who has never stepped foot out of Canada until she came to Serbia, finds a lot more stability here. A lot of the clients we work with who have set up restaurants, who have set up IT businesses, who have set up whatever type of business, find it a lot easier to, run business here in Serbia than it is in their home country that they come from. You have multiple options. You have the entrepreneur flat rate tax system. You have an LLC that you can set up here in Serbia and run it the way you want. And there's no penalty for making more money. You're just taxed at a flat rate tax. Now, one of the things that you also see here in Serbia is that the GDP growth in recent years have outpaced many of the EU countries. For instance, last year, I believe Serbia had a 4%, 4.2% GDP growth. This year, they're aiming to be a little bit lower, but still, no, it's going to be in the high threes. Where in Canada, for instance, the last 10 years alone in GDP growth was only 0.5%. That is basically stagnant. You can see people all over Canada starving for jobs. They can't make their payments. Bankruptcies getting filed at a all-time high. Delinquency rates are an all-time high. And that's not a place that I would like to live or even raise my children in. Now you have a lot of foreign direct investment that is increasing in Serbia as well, because they're seeing the opportunity here. And I'm going to touch on something that's going to bring a lot more foreign investment in the near future, and that's going to be the Expo 2027 that is coming up here in a couple years. And Belgrade is quickly becoming a regional tech and startup hub, and not to mention Belgrade only, but Novi Sad is also becoming a huge tech hub, and a lot of co-working spaces, and a lot of people are coming to those two cities to set up their businesses because honestly, it's not worth doing that in the countries that they're coming from. Now, meanwhile, in Western countries, they're printing money, raising debt ceilings, and inching towards a pension and healthcare implosion. People like to say, "Oh, we have free healthcare in the country that we're in, but it takes a year and a half to go get an MRI or some sort of procedure that they need that is life saving." And I've talked on this point many times in my videos. Now, why is Serbia trending upward? Serbia may not be the shiny object, but many people see opportunity here. Now, we're not Dubai. We're not, we're not one of those countries where people are flocking to because they used to have that 0% corporate income tax there. Now they raise that to 9%. But the smart investors, digital nomads, freedom focused individuals are quietly moving in here. And one of the clients we're dealing with, he says he was looking to move to Portugal many years ago and held his breath, and now he got outpriced of setting up in Portugal. And so he's now putting Serbia on the map because he can see that many investors are looking to move to Serbia, and he does not want to get priced when it comes to Serbia, especially as the trend moves upwards as well. Now, it's easy to get residents here, especially by buying real estate or launching a business. So it's very easy to establish life here. And while Americans and Canadians are waiting for the right candidate to fix things, essentially, and you can kind of saw what happened in Canada. People were like, "Oh, let's go Trudeau, get him out," and then they voted in Carney, and now they're going to have to deal with that for what I see as the foreseeable future. Serbia is quietly offering a lot of cheaper and more sustainable options and lifestyles here. It's a slower pace here. You can enjoy life. It's not that go, go, go mentality. You don't have to travel 2, 3 hours in one directions or altogether to work and back in Serbia, which is beautiful. And what the West isn't used to be in the past is all of that. The Western countries, or the West, like I like to say, used to be a great place to live, but it's declined over the years. I've seen it firsthand. I was born and raised in Canada. I was born in the 80s. I know that it was great times. You used to be able to purchase your own property there at an early age if you saved up. Heck, I purchased my first property when I was 21 years old in Canada. Now, people are not, you know, able to purchase their house until their 40s and their 50s. And then what? You have a 30-year mortgage? What kind of lifestyle is that? And not to mention that your property or your income tax is going to be going up and up every year, and you get no value out of that. You have no jobs. The wages are staying stagnant. I know people in this video now will say, hey, the wages here in Serbia aren't that great. But, this wage thing that people are talking about, you have that problem all over the world. But one thing I don't see here is homeless encampments. I've touched on this many times. I'm not going to get into it now. Now, look at the US, for instance. Personal freedoms are declining, and there's huge civil unrest, especially what's going on with Trump right now and their deportation and the ICE coming in. There's massive riots. Europe is being crushed by inflation and an energy crisis. Now, yes, Serbia does have some inflation, but it's not the point of many of these other countries. Australia, well, let's not even talk about what happened in Australia during COVID. That's hands down going to be the period of that sentence. And I've seen a huge number of clients coming in and consultations getting booked by people in Australia, especially when they're looking to implement now a new tax on your foreseeable capital gains. I know they're talking about bringing that only for people who have a retirement of 3 million plus. But that's how they bring it in, and eventually they're going to bring that down for the lower echelon. So yet people will still hesitate to consider Serbia because of what has happened 20 plus years ago. And they're refusing to invest or make that move. And I'm not saying that you have to just jump in here feet first and lose everything, but come here and visit, for instance. And the thing that I like to talk about is the Warren Buffett approach to country choice. All right. You look at countries the same way that you pick stocks, essentially. Where will the country be or the stock will be in 10, 20, 30 years. Is that country still trending up, or is it at its peak and is trending down? And you can see Serbia, is it trending up or is it trending down? It's trending up, in my opinion. You can see that by a lot of news articles. You can see that by GDP growth. You can see that by the amount of people who once left former Yugoslavia or Serbia and are coming back because it's not what it once was back in the West, right? A lot of our clients are people who have left and are coming back and are looking to obtain their citizenship again, or their children who have never had citizenship and born in one of these countries are contacting us, help asking, hey, can you help us with obtaining citizenship by descent and getting my wife and children in here? And that's something that we do here at Relocation Serbia. Is it stable? Is it affordable? Is it freer than some of these first world countries that are marketed as the end all and be all? And is it still underpriced? And I would say yes, Serbia is stable in my mind. Yes, you do have protests here, but those are something to do with the government. That does not mean that it's not, a stable country. It's still very much affordable, especially with when it comes to groceries and the private healthcare system as well. It's a lot freer than a lot of these first world countries. In Canada, for instance, you can't uh, say certain words. If you call someone by the wrong pronoun, there'll be ramifications. Here, you don't have any of that. There's, that's just a tidbit of what I'm trying to talk to you about. And is it something that you want to look at as being underpriced? I would say yes. Serbia has got a lot more expensive here, especially since the Russians and Ukrainians moved in here many years ago. But I would still say that it's still very affordable and still underpriced, especially if you're looking outside of some of these larger cities, which I think is a fantastic opportunity, especially if you're looking for getting into homesteading, becoming self-sustained, sustainable, so on and so forth, raising a family. One of the things that I read an article on not too long ago is that you can judge a country's safety by how many children they have in it. And Serbia, you can see children running around all over the place, parents pushing strollers, another bun in the oven, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Now, what are my final thoughts when it comes to this is that it's time to remove the Western media filters when it comes to your decision thinking. First, go and visit a country before you make a determination if it's safe or not. A lot of people have that mindset. My wife thought this was still stuck in the 90s. People were waiting in bread lines. There's no food anywhere. And now she's like, why didn't we move here earlier? It's something that I've dealt with personally and had to help other people overcoming. That's something that we do here at Relocation Serbia, is we understand that transition from one country to another is not easy, and we try and ease that process and help you get adjusted to life in Serbia that much easier, because there's a lot to soak in when moving to another country, learning a new language, so on and so forth. And Serbia is not in a war zone anymore. Serbia is not unstable, and Serbia is not backwards whatsoever. I welcome you to come and visit Serbia. And if you've ever been on the fence of if you should or shouldn't, I think it would be time to make that decision sooner than later, before your personal freedoms and your life is in further decline in your home country. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.